Hey, Merle here. Welcome back, Prairie Wings. I am working on an LS. Correction. I'm teaching my daughter how to do a complete rebuild on an LS. And today what I am showing her is how to check pushrod length. Unfortunately, I borrowed some tools out to do this, so I have to show her a shortcut cheat way, which I'm hoping will help you understand how you can measure your own pushrod without any special tools. If your pushrods are too long, you're going to end up having your valves hang open. If they're too short, your valves are not going to be opening far enough, as well as your engine is going to be very noisy. So it's pretty important that you have the correct length of pushrod. Now, normally what you do is you take and you have an adjustable pushrod that you can change the length of it. And you go through a measuring procedure, but guess what? I borrowed that out to a friend who's building an engine, and then I was there yesterday to go and grab stuff that I borrowed him. Totally forgot about my pushrod checking tools. So I'm going to show you a trick on how to measure your pushrods and get a rough idea if you have to order pushrods, longer, shorter. If you're doing kind of a stock cam swap, this will work for you. You could even do it on another race motor or whatever as well. But for hydraulic lifters, this process is going to work for you. Okay, first of all, I want to get some terminology out of the way so that when I talk through this, you understand what we're talking about. First of all, we have a firing order in the engine. And what happens is each cylinder fires in its order. And in this engine, it goes cylinder number 1, cylinder number 8, cylinder number 7, cylinder number 2. And if you look here, we have the firing order. And it goes 1, 8, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, 3. And the reason they're stacked here is because we have opposing cylinders that do certain things. So cylinder number 1, if it's on compression, top dead center, cylinder number 6 is on exhaust, and vice versa. If 6 is on compression, 1 is on exhaust. So that means that we're going to be able to set this engine up by not rotating it over 2 turns for each cylinder that we want to set the valves. And then the next thing that we'll look at here is this is a GM kind of thing. So on this side of the engine, we have 1, 3, 5, 7. On this side, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. The next thing that we need to understand is camshafts. So when I look at this camshaft, we have a lobe right here, the big old lump. This is the part of the cam that pushes the lifter up. And the opposite side is the base circle. So what that means is when cylinder number 1 is on compression, it's on the base circle. When cylinder number 6 is on exhaust, it is not on the base circle. So I can't adjust number 6, but I can definitely adjust number 1. And again, like I said, we can flop that. So compression, I adjust I can adjust number 6 when it's on top dead center and 1 is on exhaust. If I look at this right now, I have a big gap in here. Well, that's lash. And what I want to do is I want to get 0 lash. So the push rod is pushing against the back of this rocker, and it's going to push this tip of the valve down. What I'm going to be doing is trying to get rid of that lash. So I will take and just feel this as I tighten it to where I feel the lash go away. And it's actually pretty simple to feel when this kind of stops turning. But the thing that you want to do is you can get your fingers in and push and turn the push rods. And what I want to do is I want to turn this push rod, and I can feel it. It's quite snug to turn, and you got to play with this to get the feel for it. You want to back it off. Right now, I can spin it like mad. If I tighten this tiny bit more, still spins like crazy. Now it just got to, I can still spin it, but I can feel that it got tight. All right, I have an old lifter out of a junk engine. This is a junk lifter. But what happens with the push rod is it is sitting on top of that right there. Now, this is a hydraulic lifter, and what hydraulic means is this is actually like a plunger in there or the inside of a hydraulic ram. And so this part inside, even though the lifter stays, this can, you want it to actually be down in the bore of it so that hydraulic pressure is what's actually taking up the lash. That's the advantage of a hydraulic cam. So if parts wear, that plunger can take up the wear in there. So what we're doing by turning this is we're actually pushing this plunger down into the lifter. And we want that plunger, you know, it doesn't move a whole bunch, but we want it to be somewhere in the middle of the range. To get that into the middle of the range, it seems like quite a big range, but it's what you're looking for. You can go from anywhere from a half a turn to 1 full and a half a turn, and you're in that range, generally speaking, with most lifters. So let's just see where we are. We've taken up the lash, and I am going to take and see what we're going to end up with here. So as you can see, we'll torque this after. We have probably 5/8 pushing that down. So for me, that's pretty perfect. And I'm just going to grab a couple push rods here and show you. Okay, what I've done is I put in a stock push rod. I have 7.375 push rods in the rest of this motor, and the stock LS is a 7.4. And so let's just see what we get out of the stock length push rod. So we have got about a turn, or about 3/4 of a turn. Almost dead on 3/4 of a turn. So I could use a 7/400 in this. Let's just take a look. We'll try a different push rod. So a 7/500 push rod. I could keep going, but I don't want to collapse that lifter all the way. They're brand new LS7 lifters, but there's more in here. And so I don't want to push it in, but there we go. I can either use a 7/375 or a 7/400, and it'll be totally fine in this. There's one precaution that you want to be really aware of, and we'll take a look down here. So if we take a look, this valve is compressed. You want to make sure that when you're tightening these, they are on the base circle of the camshaft, because if I tighten this bolt and I'm having to compress a valve spring, there's a risk that I can pull the threads right out of the head. So never do any loosening of your rocker arms with a spring compressed. Turn it over until they're on the base circle. This type of checking isn't going to work on all engines. On certain LS engines, stock style, this procedure will work properly, and it depends on how the rocker mounts on. I'm not going to get into that. But now that I taught my daughter how to do this, I'm going to let her finish assembling this engine, and I'm hoping it also helped you figure out how to check your push rod length. So take care. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.